Welcome to the Educating Kids and Connecting Families podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, a homeschool mom, entrepreneur, and educator with over 20 years of experience in the areas of elementary and special education. It's my mission to provide your family with encouragement, inspiration, and connection. I'll equip you with resources and expert advice to help you effectively educate your kids in a fun and meaningful way. If you value education, quality family moments, and community, you're in the right spot. We'll discuss all things parenthood, education, homeschool, ways to balance it all, and so much more. Join us each week as we empower you to raise kind, confident, and independent kids while building community and connection. Welcome to episode 37 of Educating Kids and Connecting Families. I'm your host, Christine Furman, and I love that you are here with us, tuning in each week for resources regarding motherhood, education, life with our kids, homeschool, all the things in between, everything that we need to manage and juggle as busy moms that we are, homeschool moms, entrepreneur moms, stay-at-home moms, whatever your role, working moms, all of the roles that we have, we still are moms, right? So we still are making sure that things are running smoothly at home, everyone's taken care of, all of the things are coming together. But I just appreciate you being here and joining us each week. Thank you guys so much for that. Well, I hope you are having a great start to your September. I know for me personally, I love summer. I love the heat. I love the sun. I love the beach, the pool, all the fun that summer has to bring. But there is something so special to me about September, specifically September. So as an educator, I love the back to school feel. I love getting new boxes of crayons and new supplies and putting away all of the old curriculum and creating all of this new fresh curriculum. What are we going to learn about this year? And the excitement of this learning. So I just love this feel. I love the fall crisp air. Even though I love summer, I do love those fall crisp mornings. I love snuggling up with a hoodie and just being nice and cozy. I love fires, like a nice bonfire or campfire. I love all of that. I love that feel that September, October they bring. But September's especially special to me because it's also my birthday month. And this year is such a big milestone for me. I will actually be turning 40 this week. So how awesome is that? I mean, as I've approached this big milestone, I've done a lot of reflecting on all that I've accomplished and all that I still have ahead. And we had a little celebration when we were in Pittsburgh, and I received a lot of cards that were like, this is just your beginning. And it was so cool to read these because it was like, that's exactly how I feel. I feel that I'm stepping into this new power, this new era of like, I'm just beginning. Like, we're just getting started on all of the things that God has put me on this earth to do. So for the past 10 years, I have been raising my babies. Obviously, I've got lots more years of raising them, but I was pregnant with Ella when I turned 30. So it really allowed me to kind of look back on this decade of my life and say, wow, look at all of the things that I've done with my kids over this last decade. And like they are getting to this spot now of independence, of now they have the opportunity to do schoolwork while I can work, while I can be on a call. They just have this new feeling of like, yes, this freedom, right? Of like, I did spend 10 years raising my babies and I poured everything into them. Wow. Trying to start a business about 5 years ago. And it was hard. It was challenging. I've had many times of like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I want to just be with my babies. I just want to raise my babies. But the cool thing is looking back, I was doing both of them. And now this next decade of my life, it's like, wow, let's make it simpler. Let's make it easy. Let's incorporate everything together where it's business and it's my kids' education and it's the curriculum that I'm creating and the clients that I'm serving. And it's time to make it simpler and just share all that I've done and all that I've accomplished with you. So that's what I'm going to do today. I am going to share with you all of the activities and ideas that I've done with my kids from the beginning. So, things that I've done with my kids that have made a huge impact in their learning, in their education, in their social world, in their emotional world, in their confidence, in their independence. I often see so many times moms ask in Facebook groups, what do I do with my kids? Especially kids ages 7 and under. I want to homeschool my 3-year-old. Where do I begin? And a lot of people are saying, just play. And it's so true. It really is so much simpler than we expect. However, for me, I'm an educator and I always get this question. Well, Christine, I'm not a teacher. I don't know how to do things like you do. Great. Let me show you. Let me share with you the things that I've done naturally. So then that way you can do it as well with your kids at home. So I am so excited for this to share all of these resources, all of these things that I did do naturally, and just being able to offer this as an opportunity for you to say, wow, I can do that with my kids, and it will make a huge impact in their learning. It will make a huge impact in how we see the world. Because sometimes we just have to kind of take a moment and shift things just a little bit because maybe what we've always believed doesn't have to be the same path and trajectory that we were going towards, right? We can pivot and we can change and we can research things. So, without further ado, I am going to share with you all of these things that I've done over the past 10 years, really, since, they were a baby all the way up until now. And in hopes that it will just inspire and encourage you, just providing you with some ideas that are easy and simple that will really last them a lifetime. And I believe we often are made to think that things have to be challenging to educate or entertain our kids. Like we have to take them all these places and we have to put them in front of the right people and the right educators and yes, there's some truth in that. Obviously, as an educator myself, I would love to partner with families that are looking for that. But I also want to give you some insight on ways that you can do these things at home with your kids, that it does not have to be so hard. Because as I was creating the curriculum and researching and going over the curriculum for this year, as I'm starting to, really map out everything that I'm going to be teaching to not only my clients, but also my own kids, there's so many things in here that I was like, I've already done this. I've already done this naturally as a next step, next progression in our education. And that's so cool to see, to be like, wow, you're already doing this. Now, how can I help other families easily do this as well? Because there's so many things that we can do on the daily that does not have to be a, a big task to be able to teach our kids. So, like I said, the reality is it's actually pretty easy to educate our kids with the things that are all around us. So let me go back to the very beginning. All right. Like I was pregnant with Ella. I was that planner of here's all the things. I remember having a nanny come into our house because I was a teacher and I wanted someone to be home with my kids. So I set up an entire art room. Now, as an educator, I already had craft things, everything, right? I had tons of materials. And I set up an art room, and Ella was a baby. And I remember showing this to the nanny and I was like, oh yeah, and here's this fun little art room. And they're like, okay. But it was like, that's how I was already like, what are we doing? What's the next step? Right? How are we going to continue to just make things fun for them and educate them and entertain them? So that was always where my mind was going. Like, what's next? What else can I provide for them? So The things that I did very, very early on, two things that are pretty simple. Actually, well, multiple things here, but they're very simple. So I would say five things that I did pretty simply very early on. Sing to them. Sing to them often. Sing to them the nursery rhymes. Why? Why sing nursery rhymes? One, it's rhyming. You are teaching them. They're listening. They literally are listening at a very, very young age, and they are absorbing all of this information. And they are soaking it in and being able to hear these words that you're speaking to them, you're singing to them, which I've heard before that the things that we learn in song are the things that stay with us the longest. And I've even heard, now I have to really research this, but people that have Alzheimer's, they learn the things that they've learned in song. That is like the last thing for them to forget. And I thought that was so fascinating. So it was like, let me teach you everything in a song, right? As many things that we can do in a song, in movement. And I've actually done this and I've actually continued to do this. So when they were little, songs like Mary Had a Little Lamb or the ABCs, we did the ABCs while we would wash our hands. And I did that when they were toddlers. Let's wash our hands and practice singing the ABCs, probably even younger than that. And different songs like counting songs or all of those nursery rhyme songs that you can remember. Twinkle, twinkle. I did even have a special song. I sang You Are My Sunshine to Ella, and I sang Skinnamarink a Dink a Dink to Alex. Those were like their own special songs, but I also incorporated other lullabies into their nighttime routine. So I was singing to them throughout the day, but then I was also singing to them at night to help calm them and get them ready for sleep. So those were some things. Anything that you can sing that's appropriate. I always had toddler tunes on the TV. And I may have told you this story, but if you are new to this podcast, here's another story. So when Ella was 6 months old, I was in the kitchen and I was making dinner, and she was sitting in her high chair, and I had toddler tunes on, and it was playing If You're Happy and You Know It. So I'm singing it, but I'm not really doing the motions because I'm cooking, right? And she's sitting in her high chair, and I turn around and she is clapping right on cue to If You're Happy and You Know It. And that was like a light bulb moment for me. So I have worked in the educational field, right? Special education. And when I was teaching life skills, and I remember being told, like, listen, they are listening to you and they are absorbing everything that is being said around and near them. And it was like, whoa, that's pretty profound. That it's like, even if they can't verbally speak back to you or communicate with you, they're still absorbing what they're hearing and what they're seeing. And I was like, all right. So that right there in that moment with my daughter at 6 months old just confirmed that even more. I already knew that, but it just continued to confirm that they are such little sponges. All right. So the next thing is reading to them, reading a ton to them. So I read before Ella was born. You know, I was one of those moms like reading to my belly. I didn't do it often, but I did do it. But reading to them even whenever they were babies, snuggle up with them, reading a story with them. You know, anytime I had baskets of books all throughout my house. I still have baskets of books throughout my entire house. There's stuff in the bathrooms, there's stuff in the living room, there's stuff in our schoolroom, there's stuff in each of their rooms, in the bedrooms, like literally everywhere there's a book. And now my kids walk around with books and reading them. Ella constantly has chapter books and she's like, give me another book. I need another chapter book. Not give me in a rude way, but like just eating it up. Alex, I'll walk in there at bedtime and he's reading a chapter book before bed. And it just lights my heart up. Why? Why do they love to read? One, I never forced it on them. We read and we practiced skills naturally. Of course, we do our lessons, but it's a great combination. I really believe EduPlay is a great combination of that traditional, like, let's sit down and do some lessons, but let's do it in a fun way. And let's do it in a way that we're going to take that lesson and we're going to apply it to the world around us, to the experiences around us. Great. You just learned a lesson on long A. Well, while we're reading this book, I want you to find any words that have the long A sound. Or, great, these were your sight words. We do sight words and phonics. We do a blend of everything. And I've seen it time and time again, just proven to work. And even today, I just got off a call with a client and she said, your program works. I've used it with all three of my kids and it's working. I had another client tell me that. And I was like, yes, like I've taught both of my kids how to read with my strategies. And it just makes it so much more fun, so much more enjoyable for everyone. So read to them a lot. And then when you are reading to them, look for those sight words, look for those vowel sounds, look for the consonants that you are, or the letters that you guys are learning, really turning it into not just reading, but allowing them to ask questions, asking them questions, asking them, well, what happens next? What do you think is going to happen in this book? All of these skills are the fundamentals of reading, and you can do it just by reading a story and by asking questions. So if you do want more information, as I'm sharing all of this stuff, please be sure to reach out to me, connect with me on social media or via here as well in the show notes. So I'm going to keep going because I'm really so excited about all of this. So the next thing is counting with them, counting snacks, counting their toys, their blocks, counting the steps as you go down, as you go up, counting your steps as you walk outside. Anything, literally count anything with them. You can count the flowers or the mailboxes that you pass or the houses or the cars. How many red cars can you find today? And it's really just taking these basic skills of counting and then saying, well, we're counting, and then you take number cards and match it up. It's really this simple of saying, like, we can do this. We can teach them the basic math skills because once they learn how to count, you can practice adding. How many red cars and how many blue cars? Great. How many cars are there all together? Now, if you have 5 of your snack and you eat 3 of them, how many do we have left? Really, it's just taking our everyday moments and our everyday life and turning it into education in a fun way where it's not sit down, make sure you fill this paper out and do this worksheet and regurgitate everything to me. No, I really want them to understand it. And if they don't understand a skill, I can always go back. All right, some other things whenever they were babies. So I've been telling you some of the ways that these have progressed as they've gotten older, but it really started out with very basic things: singing, reading, counting, talking about the colors and shapes in front of them. A lot of times, baby toys are full of color or they're black and white, right? There's those opposites there too, the contrast. But the color is just telling them the colors. This is red. What color is this? It's red. What color? Red. And continuing to practice it over and over again. That repetition is so important. Talk about the different shapes that you see. It could be the shapes that they're actually holding with their objects and their colors that they have in front of them, or it could be the shapes and the colors around them in their world. I know that I had posters at like high chair height of their colors and different things that were that color. And we would talk about it while we were eating. Oh, what color is this grape? It's purple. Look over here. This is purple. So they're recognizing the color with now the word. So a lot of that, just having it color, word, number, word, letters, and words. So all of these things come together. Again, teaching the other objects. So identifying different things. So not only what they have right in front of them, whether it's colors or shapes, but in addition to that, other objects. So go outside and say, this is a tree. This is a bird, and that can start very early on. And then as you keep talking to them, it's really about communicating with them and just interacting with them and saying, oh, I remember this distinctly. We would go on our walks and we'd see airplanes. We were close to an airport in Pittsburgh, and we would always see planes go by our house. and we would say, "Hi, airplane," and we would wave to them, and we would say, "Have a safe trip." We would just basically just talking to them. We don't know anyone on that plane probably, but I'm teaching them kindness. I'm teaching them how to love for other people. I'm teaching them to just say, "Hey, I hope you guys have a great trip." And those little things are that empathy starts to come out, right? Teaching them kindness, teaching them how to say, "I'm sorry," and how to let them express their feelings, not in a way that we don't parent at all, but in a way that, yes, I understand that you're angry. This is what made you upset, but this is not acceptable. So by telling them those expectations, those consequences, if you do this, this is going to happen. And make sure we're sticking to that at a very young age, because that matters of saying, you know what, we have consequences, right? There's a consequence for our action. And yes, your kids may be older. You can still go back to this. Some of the consequences and expectations that I do for my kids as they, continue to grow and learn, we did pennies in a jar, and then they would remove a penny. So they have to know that, yes, you can't act this way, and I'm going to take something, because that's how we did it. I know there are so many different philosophies out there, but this is what worked for us, where here's the expectation. If you do all of the things that's asked of you, you're going to earn money. If you don't, you're going to lose money. And then when you do earn that money, you get to spend that money. You get to go and get that little toy that you want, or that ice cream that you want, or whatever that may be that you want to spend that time on. It could be extra time with mom and dad. It could be whatever that looks like. So I do believe that also teaching them the empathy, the kindness, the love, also though teaching them that your actions do have consequences if it's not an appropriate action. Some of the things that we used to do, even now, we still do this, is if they did something that was inappropriate, I don't necessarily respond right away. Like, listen, you know that that was unacceptable, that was being unkind, and that's not acceptable right now. And if I have the energy, if we have it in us to have a conversation, like whether I know my child is open to it and whether I know that I'm ready to have a conversation, great, we have a conversation. If not, we revisit it, because you can revisit it. I know when you have younger kids, you do want to respond a little bit quicker, because sometimes they forget and say, you know what? Fighting is not okay. Or, kicking or throwing a toy, that's not okay. I'm going to have to remove this toy because you can't be kind with it. We can't throw things, but just really having an actual conversation with our kids about it. Because, like I said, they really do understand a lot more than sometimes we think that they do. So, really just having that open conversation. Some other things that we did, we talked about appropriate music, appropriate shows while they're around. We didn't have any adult shows on. Now, whenever they were nursing, I would definitely love my binge on Netflix. But as they really started to be paying attention, I did not watch those shows anymore, because I wanted to make sure that I was filling their head with positivity, with learning, with things that were going to benefit them. And that was just my mindset. That was my philosophy. Appropriate music, the toddler tunes or anything that was appropriate, and shows that were really encouraging learning. I did not do shows very early because they don't need it. I mean, they really can entertain themselves by using things in front of them, by playing with their toys in front of them and entertaining them that way, and being able to talk and communicate with them. The other thing is just play, just have fun. And I know a lot of people say that, well, just go play, just have fun. And I know for some that is like, well, what do I do? So I hope that I've been able to give you some ideas here. And if you want more, please be sure to reach out. But also just interacting with each other, letting them see your face, letting them see your expressions. That is a lot too. That is really like learning a lot. Like, oh, this made mommy happy, oh, this was sad. Like this wasn't, we shouldn't be doing this, and allowing them to really see those expressions. So another thing is schedule time for breaks, schedule time for downtime for everyone because we need it, right? Especially for stay at home moms, especially for homeschool moms. If our kids are with us all the time, think about summer if your kids are in school or the holiday breaks if you work and they're in school. There are always times when our kids are with us for an extended period of time, the weekends, right? Well, we want them to be able to have some downtime no matter what and say, okay, right now I need some time to either work. Like for me, it was like, I have to go work and I need you guys to work on an activity. So, use their imagination of saying, here, I want you to play with your stuffed animals and you can play for a little bit. Or I don't like to say find something in your room because sometimes that's a little overwhelming for them. Like sometimes there's too many things in our rooms. So I like to kind of give them a task to do and then let them use their imagination. Sometimes they just need like a kickstart to say, oh, yeah, I forgot I had that toy, or I forgot that I could play that, or I forgot that that's a game that I can do, right? So I will definitely do a future episode on different independent play activities and ideas and other things that I have in my own home that have actually been really good resources for us. So stay tuned for that. There will definitely be a future episode on that. But as I've said before, I do believe our kids are sponges. I believe they're soaking up everything around them. I believe that they're imitating us constantly and they just really want to do what we're doing, whether that's in the kitchen or whether that is, outside or, when you're working, are they going to work? Literally, I just walked into this and my kids are 9 and 7. And we are going to do a whole lesson about the eyes because we went to the eye doctor, whole thing here. But they got the library books. They started writing things on the board. They had their chairs turned around and they were teaching a little lesson to each other. And it's like, that's what I do constantly, right? That is my job. I literally teach for a living at home and to clients. And there they are watching everything that I'm doing and they're doing the same thing. Or I'm working and they want to get a computer out. I remember that from the time they were little. They would get cardboard boxes and make a little laptop computer, or they would make a little cell phone with cardboard. Like, let them use their imagination, let them be creative, include them in the conversations that you're having. Like, what are you doing? Well, I have to work. I have to get on this call. Well, why? What is it? What is it for? Let them ask the questions because they just want to know what's going on and they want to see what they can do, right? Can they get on a call? Can they pretend they're on a call? So I believe just including them in those conversations, letting them ask questions, letting them be curious and asking them questions. And sometimes when they are curious and when they are ready to ask a question, sometimes it takes them a few seconds longer to pull together their thoughts. And we just have to give them a second before we interject, right? Sometimes we just have to let them get it all out. So then that way they can get it out of their brain and be like, oh, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say. And then we can be able to share our insight or answer their question or whatever that may be. So, just a few things to think about. Talk to them about the world around them. Talk to them about when you're outside. Talk to them about things that are going on. And there's definitely a difference, I believe, of what do our kids need to know? And what are some of the things that we don't really need to have those conversations in front of them? Like, I do believe that there is a difference. I do believe that I've introduced slowly topics with my children that they know enough. And if they do have a question, I say, well, what do you think? Because our minds go straight to maybe something that's like, oh man, I didn't know we were going to have this kind of a conversation. And maybe it's not. Maybe their mind literally is so shallow minded with that topic. And it's very simple and they just have a very innocent answer. And it's like, yeah, that's a good enough response for right now. It may not be the entire truth, but it's not a lie to them. It's literally enough information that they need right now to satisfy their little minds So then that way, maybe in a year, they ask another question. And then we say, well, what do you think now? Well, maybe they've learned a little bit more. Maybe they have a little more insight. And then you can have a little bit of a deeper conversation. So sometimes that's always my thing of, well, what do we think? What do they think? And allowing them to be able to respond. But other things that you can always talk about money when you go to the store. Talk about, the change that you get back. Talk about time when you're getting ready to go somewhere. All right, we have to leave. We have to leave by 1:30. Well, what time is it right now? It's 1 o'clock. We have 30 minutes. And it's not really asking them to answer the questions, but it's giving them the answers at a younger age. So then that way, as they do continue to grow, and are exposed to this, right? They're experiencing time and money all the time. And just letting that be really a natural life lesson. So constantly talking about the time. Well, if it's 1:15, it's quarter after. Well, what does that mean? And then you can show them the clock, and show them it's quarter, half, quarter till, and then a whole. And it's just these small little lessons that literally don't have to take a whole lesson, a lot of time to teach. We could just really give them really snapshots, pieces of information, and they stick so much more. A few final things here. If you do have kids that are interested in a topic, right? Maybe it's something about owls. They love owls. Great. Dive deep into that. That is something that they're excited about right now. And this is where that combination of like traditional school and unschooling comes in for EduPlay learning, because it's like, what are they interested in right now? Great. Let's learn about that and document it and write it down, because I bet that if we're learning about owls, we're going to be incorporating science. We're going to be incorporating a craft in there, a song in there, some movements. Maybe you're going to go to the zoo. You're going to go anywhere else and maybe watch some YouTube videos, go to the library and find other books. You can incorporate math into that. If an owl eats 5 things and there's 3 left over, I don't know, like you could incorporate math into this. Or there's a mommy owl and 3 baby owls. How many altogether? That one's a little easier. Do you see how you can incorporate math? You can incorporate reading because we're reading a story. We can incorporate science. You can incorporate art and music all in one topic. And this is what I began doing when Ella and Alex were toddlers. I began taking a topic and going all in. And I would share as much as I could while we played. And we would read nonfiction and fiction books, and we would make crafts and sing songs and do movements. And this truly is how EduPlay learning collections were created. And it really was that. It was just pulling all of these things together. So I have a few things to share with you. If this sounds like something that your kids would love, you can certainly take any topic and have fun with it. Go to the library, watch all the shows on that topic, search Pinterest for crafts, go on YouTube and find videos and songs. You can do this, and you can make learning fun for your kids. And now if you're thinking, Christine, you know what, that all sounds great, but I don't have time for that. I don't want to do that, right? Like that's not even something that I'm interested in. Like for me, I love that. But I know I'm an educator. That's kind of how my brain works, where I love to just pull and put things together. Where others, that's not what they want to do. So if it is something that you're excited for, that you think your kids would really love, and you realize you don't have the time for that, you don't want to be doing that, I definitely encourage you to check out EduPlay Learning. So it is done for you. All of that is done for you. It's a multi-sensory approach to learning that is fun and easy for everyone. For you as the parent, for the kids, there's no downtime because you don't have to worry about it. It's already done. You get to open up the box. You get to open up the computer, whatever that may look like, and you just get to have fun with your kids. So I just encourage you to check out EduPlay Learning on Instagram, on Facebook, even YouTube, because there's already a ton of videos on YouTube. So for any additional resources, check it out, see what you guys can find, search different things, because I bet you if your child is interested in dinos, there's probably a video out there for you guys to check out. But if you do want more information, be sure to send me a DM or, send me a message, whatever that looks like. And all of those links are in the show notes below. Finally, let's just wrap up with a few things here that learning can and does really happen naturally. It really can be very simple. And I hope that I've showed you a few of the ways that it can be. And if you do have any more questions, please, I encourage you to reach out. I love to have conversations and be able to talk more about this because this really does light me up so much. I love sharing about ways that we can just let them be kids and have fun and take these topics and these tasks and just continue to practice them with repetition, with experience. Like that's really important. Just showing them the color red one time does not mean they're going to understand that that's the color red. Continuing to show it to them over and over again. It's the same thing with all of these other skills. And by just doing it in a way that is natural and they're experiencing it every day makes a huge difference. Let them explore, let them be curious, and truly, truly enjoy your time together. Be present and interact with them. And I even do this with my kids now. Like, yes, I could work and they can play independently. But I get this urge of like, oh my gosh, I miss my kids. Like, I want to go sit with them for a few minutes, or I want to read a story with you, or let's play a game together. And really just having that time together, being present and interacting just means a lot. Again, showing them your facial expressions, teaching that emotion, the emotional intelligence is really important. I think that is really something that is incorporated at a young age as well, and being able to allow them to express their emotions and talk about them and be able to talk through them. So then that way they're not all bottled up and then they just explode. We don't want that. But really, guys, it can be very easy and simple. And I encourage you, really, I say it all the time, truly see each moment as a chance to learn, create, and have fun. It's my tagline. I put at the end of every educational video because I want kids to really understand that. Like everything that we do is an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to create and use your imagination and really just have fun with it. So I truly believe it. I truly believe each moment is special and can be an opportunity to learn. Well, I thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate you guys just hanging out with me and listening to all of these different ideas and activities that I shared. If you enjoyed this episode, if you found value in it, I encourage you to share it with a friend, even share it on your social media and tag me and just let others know that there are so many resources that I've pulled together for you, for your family, and for your kids. And if you want even more of those resources and activities, I invite you to join the exclusive Facebook group, Educating Kids, Connecting Families. That link is in the show notes below. I love connecting with you, and I would love to keep this conversation going. So please feel free to join and share other fun resources that you have found that are simple and easy and help you educate your kids in a fun way. So let's stay connected and let's continue to build a supportive community for you and for the moms around the world. It really is so important to me. And finally, if you are thinking about homeschooling or if you are homeschooling and you need additional curriculum ideas, or if you would just like guidance, if you would like to build community, we've got it all. There's so many different resources within what I have that I would love to support you wherever you are, wherever your kids are, wherever you are on your educational journey. So please feel free to reach out to me directly, and I would be happy to help set you and your family up for a lifetime of success. Thank you for listening to the Educating Kids and Connecting Families podcast. I appreciate your support and cherish each and every listener. If you found value in this episode, download it, share with a friend, or leave a review. If you're interested in even more resources for you, activities for your kids, and connection, I encourage you to join our exclusive community, Educating Kids and Connecting Families with Christine Furman on Facebook. You can find the link and any other links mentioned in this episode in the show notes below. I'm looking forward to connecting with you and supporting your family.